Hey guys, Lawrence here from Unicorn Bikes, and I just got back from Europe's second biggest bike show. Apparently I only just heard it on the news, but it's Velofollies time, which is Belgium's biggest bike show. And while a lot of it was commuter bikes, e-bikes that I don't like, and road bikes, there were a few interesting mountain bikes on the show and some mountain bike products that I shot some handheld video because I didn't want to travel very heavily. And yeah, let's go over them. I've got everything on my computer right here, so let's have a look. I'll just voice it over because there was a lot of background music and noise on the show floor. So we'll just voice over. I've got even a microphone here. Yeah. So first thing was Bianchi. They had their e-SUV Adventure mountain bike. It's their top of the line mountain bike. Very interesting looking, at least, but I'm not so sure about all the very harsh, sharp angles. I think especially on the down tube, that's where you're gonna get a lot of mud gathering, even in the little air vent to cool the battery. What if water or mud gets in there? It seems like very difficult to clean. I mean, there are screws on there to take the plate off, but who knows? They even integrated a headlight into the bike, so it definitely is, yeah, more for the recreational rider, I think, even though it looks super hardcore and super aggressive. I don't think it's really something you're gonna be using as a racing e-bike or something you're using every day. Now, what definitely was for racing, this is actually Brook Macdonald's Mondraker Summum. Awesome bike, so gorgeous. It's also awesome to see that Brook is recovering so well, and he'll probably be racing again this season. His bike, absolutely stunning, as most Summums are, but the custom paint job and everything, it just makes it look so good. And there were other pro bikes, but I think this was definitely the one that got my attention. It's just so perfect. Like, it's just gorgeous. The paint job, like the metal flake in there, it just stood out so much. Even compared to some other bikes on the Mondraker stand that I'll get to very shortly. There we go, the F Podium, which that's definitely up my alley, like the whole down country sort of thing, where you can ride to somewhere, then have fun on the trails, and then ride back home from the trails without wasting too much time and energy on the commute to the trail center. It's also a really nice looking bike. I'm hoping that I can arrange a review on this bike so I can actually ride it, because down country is definitely up my alley. But yeah, gorgeous bike as well, just not as gorgeous as Brook Macdonald's Summum. Now, Vittoria tires was up next, so I also wanted to talk about components a little bit, and tires are probably the most important part of your bike. They have their Graphene 2.0 technology, which basically means really good tires from what I've heard. GMBN is using Vittoria now. They had their inserts as well, so it would be cool to combine the inserts with their tires, see what they're like on my enduro bike, on my trail bike, and yeah, just try them out. They look like they have some really fast rolling tires in their cross-country lineup, but also some proper mud tires, so awesome. Now, Trust was there, not with their own booth, but as part of a bigger booth. And I was very skeptical when I first saw these forks, especially about price. But as I'm showing here, the fit and finish on these is amazing, and it's such a complex product. I wouldn't want to be servicing it, but it does take less servicing apparently than a normal fork. But there are so many little things that all have to work together perfectly for it to work. It's just really cool to see. Now, other than the internet's favorite bike yoke seat post, they also had the Cane Creek helm on display. It was a lot heavier, I think, or at least it felt heavier than the Trust fork. But it's so awesome to see a fork that's not from one of the main two companies, that's very adjustable, even has like markings on the steer tube so you can cut it perfectly without having to actually measure it if you have multiple forks. They also had their coil and their air shock. Now, I have ridden both these shocks already, one on the Pole Stamina and one on the Pole Evo Link 140. They're great forks, great shocks, by the way. And then there were more tires. I was just really surprised by how chunky these side knobs are. They're just massive. I think if you live somewhere really muddy, like I do, for example, I think these would be really good for that, just massively chunky ones. More Cane Creek stuff, their crankset, their titanium crankset. Again, I've ridden it, it's amazing. It's a crankset though, so there's not really a lot to talk about here. Other than that, it looks great, but it costs a lot of money. And it's just finished beautifully. Just absolute detail here. Beautiful welds. Yeah, not really a lot to say about cranks. Now, this bike, I have no idea how expensive it is. I don't even know if you can buy it. but it just stood out to me as something that was a little bit more retro, even though it's using all these new parts. It just looked a bit retro and interesting in between all these other super high and super expensive mountain bikes. So that's why I included it in this video. It does have dead grips on there from DMR, awesome to see. Yeah, I just found it an interesting bike, nothing more than that, to be honest. And then here, the Norco Optic, again, downcountry is kind of my thing. So it was great to see that they had it on display, because that means I can actually talk to the media people from Norco, at least for Belgium, and hopefully get one to do a video on, because these are the types of bikes that I love, because you can just ride them to the trails, ride them at the trails, and then just ride them home again. And that's what really makes a bike awesome, especially where I live. I don't live anywhere near a bike park, so having a bike like this would be awesome. And it's also just a really cool bike. I mean, it has all the right parts on it. It's lightweight, not quite cross-country bike-like, but you can see from the components on there, the short stem, the aggressive tires, wide handlebars, that this is like designed as a proper trail bike. And then moving to, I wouldn't say the other end of the spectrum, but this paint job, this Project One paint job on the Trek rail, it was amazing. They also have a beach racer with this paint job on it, but you have to see this one in real life. I tried to make it look good on video, but it looks amazing in real life. It's just other level to have like a little Milky Way galaxy sort of stuff painted on your bike. I don't know how long you can keep it clean and how long you can keep it that good looking, but boy is it good looking. And then here, other than that it's dual crown, there's nothing really mountain bikey about the Hope track bike. But the reason I'm talking about this is Tani Seagrave was very open and honest apparently about her Canyon collaboration in the wind tunnel, which really made me think, how important is aero testing going to be to mountain biking? Is every downhill racer going to be in the wind tunnel perfecting their aero tuck, maybe their clothing, the shapes of their bikes? Very interesting. And here is one of those downhill bikes. This is the Scott from Marine Cabirou. Kind of looks like a Session. And it's also a really cool looking bike, not as cool looking as Brook Macdonald's bike, but it's a really cool bike. It's a very small bike. I was kind of expecting it to be bigger, but also very interesting. And I really wonder where we're going to go with aero on downhill and even cross country, because cross country is also really fast. And once you go over 20 kilometers an hour, aero does become a thing. It's always a thing, it's just more easily measurable. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where this whole sort of development is going to go, even in downhill racing, maybe even in enduro racing, because who knows, it's also fast descending and saving energy, and that's what aerodynamics are there for. So this is the probably top of the line Canyon Strive. Beautiful bike. I'm still not sure how I feel about the oil slick stuff and the battery everything, but it's a really nice looking bike. I probably can't afford it though, but yeah, it looks great. It got some attention, but nowhere near as much as all the road bikes, and even the commuter bikes got way more attention than the mountain bikes. Which, I mean, it means that people do like cycling in Belgium, but just mountain biking, nobody knows about it, no one's doing it, except people just riding their bikes through a field. That is something that does happen in Belgium, and it gets confused with mountain biking. It's a bit upsetting to me, but that's just the way it is. And even if bike shows like this, filled with commuter bikes and e-bikes, mean that they're mostly selling just normal road bikes, hey, if it gets people into cycling, I'm happy. So there we go. Those were the bikes that I found worthy of filming at the Velofollies 2020 bike show. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit different from what I usually do, but this bike show is something that I do look forward to every year, and it was fun to be there, although very tiring, and it was super busy. But again, it means that cycling is alive, just not really on the mountain biking side here in Belgium. Anyway, massive thanks for watching. I'll see you guys probably next week with another video. Cheers!